2.5 kgs to average of 6 kgs. So we're going to start this session, which will be moderated by Mr. Nirmalya Mukherjee, Editor, Steel and Metallurgy. So can we please have you with us on stage? Sir, थोड़ी सी एनर्जी बनानी पड़ेगी. थोड़ी सी चाय के बाद वाली एनर्जी थोड़ी सी बनानी पड़ेगी. Can you please give it up for our moderator of the session? Up next, I would like to invite the panelists for this session, starting with Mr. Vijay Sharma, Director, Jindal Stainless. Now I would like to invite Mr. Hitendra Bhalaria, MD, Bhalaria Metal Craft. And this session is most special because we have somebody joining us virtually, and that is Mr. Con Logos, VP, APAC, Outokumpu. So can you please put our hands together for Mr. Con Logos? And now I hand over the mic to Mr. Nirmalya Mukherjee. And let's get started.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Normally, a journalist's job becomes difficult when it's a post-lunch session, because that is the time when most of us feel sleepy. So it's a big challenge, and that too when you have two eminent panelists with you, Mr. Vijay Sharma, the producer, and Mr. Bhalaria, the end user. So I am sandwiched between the producer and the end user. At the same time, things are a bit easier when we think about the name stainless steel, because stainless is without a stain. So that gives me an advantage, Bhalaria ji. So with that, let's come to today's topic, which is, and let me, by the way, welcome Mr. Con Logos. Con, I hope you can hear us. Con, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, Con, a warm welcome to you. And I don't need to explain that Outokumpu is a global name in the stainless steel industry. So, Mr. Con Logos is the Vice President, Asia Pacific for Outokumpu. Now, I would prefer to start with Mr. Vijay Sharma, because we are going to talk about India's per capita consumption, and who knows better than Mr. Vijay Sharma, Director Stainless of Jindal Stainless. In fact, if you look at the history, to reach the per capita consumption of 2.6, as Madam Aruna Sharma mentioned also, and Ms. Rasika Chaubey also mentioned this morning, that to reach this level of 2.6 per capita today, it took us almost 10 years, 2010 to almost 2019-20. So moving forward, to double this, from 1.2 to 2.5, it took us 2010 to 20. Now to double this, from 2.6 to 5.2 or 6, what is it that we need to do? So Mr. Vijay Sharma will take us on our path forward, on our road ahead, and what kind of margdarshan we need to achieve the 6 million tons, 6 kgs per capita, is what Mr. Vijay Sharma is going to talk about. Over to you, Mr. Vijay Sharma.
Thank you. Namaskar. Importance of stainless steel has been well discussed today, whether it was inaugural, ma'am spoke about it, Mrs. Chaubey spoke about it. So to measure the growth, and generally speaking, indices is per capita consumption. My views are a little different. Generally speaking, like he said, 10 years to double it. You will be surprised that in financial year 20, when stainless steel grew by 12%, per capita was 2.53. Financial year 21, stainless de-grew by 16%, per capita was 2.11. This year, plus 25%, and per capita is 2.64. So it means that stainless steel consumption is also related with a few other things other than only the population. We will deliberate upon those areas. But before that, I think what happens is, you would have heard in the morning also, we tend to get confused between steel and stainless steel. So as the people who are passionate about stainless steel, in fact I was in a media, I requested the media people कि अगर space कम मिले तो steel को drop कर देना, stainless को मत drop करना. So they agreed to it, by the way. So it is the responsibility of the people like me to position the stainless well. कहीं ना कहीं चैप्टर 72 बराबर है. ऐसा लगता है कि कोई भी जब देखता है कि 97%, 96.5% स्टील की बात ज़्यादा कर लेते हैं, इसका क्या करना है, तो 3-3.5% ही है. तो कहीं ना कहीं इतना छोटा भाई, बट इट इज़ सच ए वैल्यू एडेड प्रोडक्ट. It is at the highest spectrum of the total value chain of steel chapter 72, and depending on the product mix, the value, in terms of value, it is anywhere between 12 to 15%. It is very, very distinct from steel, whether it is an application proportion, whether it is a product form, whether it is a RM requirement. Iron ore is not used for making stainless steel, by the way, whether it is a manufacturing process. But when we talk about that per capita consumption is 1/3, कहीं ना कहीं पे इंडियन लोग गिल्टी भी ले लेते हैं, जैसे हमारी वजह से नहीं हो रहा है ये. There are very interesting similarities with the steel also. In both the cases, India is second largest consumer after China. In both the cases, my numbers are directional. आना पाई पे नहीं जाएंगे हम लोग. In both the cases, per capita consumption is about 1/3 of the global average in steel as well as stainless steel. The consumption of steel and stainless steel in India is again about 5 to 6% of the world, respectively, same number. And if we compare with the China, again it is around 10% of China. A lot of similarities also, a lot of differences also. And when there are a lot of differences, when the volume is small, that means we need to have certain solutions which are unique to stainless steel. Well, you may think that it is small, but it is not really small. If I try to convert the stainless steel into the numbers, from the primary producer point of view and demand point of view, this year at the current price levels, which are little inflated, but the industry is, coil sheet की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं, is about 60,000 crore rupees industry. And if I add the value addition by the friends like Mr. Bhalaria and others, anywhere between 30 to 40, so it would be around 80,000 crore industry in India from the demand perspective. So it is really big. If I talk about the employment, in the total ecosystem of stainless steel, the numbers are little hazy because a lot of unorganized areas are there, a lot of MSMEs are there, but not less than 25 lakh people are involved in this, and it is a very, very complex structure. There are lots of MSME in the supply side, maybe around 60 to 70 induction furnace producers, maybe 500 pata producers, so it needs very, very special attention. Now coming back to the per capita, like I said that, population cannot be the only yardstick to measure the growth of a metal. It depends on what? Per capita, it depends on what? It is a function of population growth. It is a function of GDP growth. It is a function of the sectoral GDP growth, whether it is manufacturing, agriculture or services. And of course, it is the absolute consumption growth. The absolute consumption kitni बढ़ रही है? I gave you the example that in 10 years it has been growing at 9%. And I gave example of 3 years plus 12%, minus 16%, plus 25%. So, but जो per capita था वो करीब 2.12 से लेके 2.64 के बीच में घूम रहा है. If I try to do a mathematical modeling, assuming a very, very conservative growth of 7% of stainless steel, but I am very upbeat and it's going to be much, much higher. The reasons I will be sharing with you. If I consider the stainless steel conservative growth of 7% and a very, very conservative growth of GDP of 6.25%, it's on the long-term basis. I am talking about next 25 years horizon, and a optimistic degrowth of the population, which is the target of the government of India from 1.1 today, it should come down to 0.65 in 2047. These are the government data. With this simple mathematics, in 8 years' time, in 2030, the per capita will be 4.25 kg. अपन ने कुछ नहीं किया, अपने आप हो गई है. It is purely mathematics. If I extend it to 2036, another plus 6 years, it will come to 6 kgs. If I further extend, it is all mathematics on Excel. If I further extend it to 2047, 25 years, it will be 12 kg. So I am talking about a very, very organic growth. So what should be the focus? Yes, per capita is very, very important, but I think that we have to ensure that the overall growth, overall consumption has to exceed very healthily above 7%. That means we need to strengthen the supply side as well as demand side, and through strong domestic manufacturing, and aligned with the Make in India. But before that, I would like to have some small discussion on the as-is condition. You cannot have any discussion while ignoring the ecosystem around you. So first I will share my views on India. India, part A, the macroeconomic parameters of India. It's very, very interesting that India is the 6th largest out of the top 9 above 2 trillion GDP. Second in the population, but interestingly 168 in the per capita. सिर्फ $2300 पर एनम का हमारा एवरेज पर कैपिटा है 1.75 लाख रुपीस. It talks about the purchasing power. It also talks about perhaps the role of the government, the public procurement. If I see the manufacturing sector, it is 29% in Indian GDP and 25% of the labor force is employed in manufacturing sector. If I compare it with China, 41% and 29% is employed. It talks about the automation and the skill set. So these are the indicators of the challenges with the Indian economy. Now coming to the government directions, my personal views. In general, I am talking about the budget FY22. In general, very bold, futuristic, transformational, except for a very, very specific pain point for the Indian stainless steel industry of revoking the CVD on China. We all know Lanka में क्या हुआ है, we all know Pakistan में क्या हुआ है. I only pray and request that government of India recognizes it कि China से कौन compete कर सकता है when worldwide it is known that they are providing 20 to 30% non-WTO compliant subsidies. But since I said the word bold, futuristic, transformational, there are certain very, very interesting key directions which the government has got into, but these are not the short term, these are mid term and long term. I will start with, we use Gati Shakti, seamless integration of 7 industries and the departments. It will help. Today the logistics cost is about 13 to 14% of GDP. It is making us uncompetitive. Making us means making India product uncompetitive by 4 to 5 percentages. So Gati Shakti is going to help us. आवास योजना, स्टेनलेस स्टील आजकल तो हर घर के अंदर हम देखते हैं कि लग ही रहा है, चाहे छोटा घर हो. इवन LIG फ्लैट्स के अंदर वी आर एबल टू सी द विंडोज एंड ग्रिल्स एंड रेलिंग्स ऑफ स्टेनलेस स्टील. नल से जल, plumbing, a lot has been discussed that so much of wastage is happening. In fact, the World Bank is focusing on how to conserve water. So this direction of Government of India will definitely push the stainless steel consumption. Investment financing and Indian sovereign bond listing in global bond. It's very, very important thing which is happening because the other cost element of cost of capital is killing Indian manufacturing. So cost of capital and cost of logistics alone is making India uncompetitive by 10 to 12% depending on the size and the credibility of a manufacturer. So government is in the right direction. Then of course the trend focus, investment financing, digital rupee. So I personally feel that the direction of the government for the push in the stainless steel industry, but again it is not short term, it is mid term and long term. Now we need to look at a little bit about what is happening around the world. It's an open economy. We have seen how the world, whether it is geopolitical or whatever it is, bilateral, India is not isolated. India is a pretty much part of the global economy. 3 interesting things have happened in the last 3-4 years in the world. Number one, 2018 is very, very interesting year when thanks to Mr. Trump that Section 232 was imposed, wherein 25% of the duty was imposed on most of the metals on the various countries whosoever was producing. It created a sort of a domino effect. After that, Europe, then every stainless steel and steel manufacturing company, they started imposing level playing field on other countries. In case of stainless steel, very interesting, the big daddy China, it got frightened by Indonesia and it imposed anti-dumping duty on Indonesia. So Indonesia का नाम 4-5 साल पहले नहीं सुनते थे हम लोग stainless steel के अंदर. We were very fond of using the word global village and things like that. But post that 2018, I think globalization is shifting towards nationalization. We need to protect our own home industry from the longer perspective, not the short perspective. When I say the longer perspective, I also talk about the total ecosystem. Right from the manufacturer up to the end user, everybody has to survive together. But unfortunately, India is having absolutely zero level playing field as far as stainless steel is concerned. Another very interesting thing happened, commodity price increase. It was a post-pandemic situation, recovery, confidence in the vaccination, more availability of the cash flow. But unfortunately हमें लगता है कि हमारे देश के अंदर स्टील के प्राइस बढ़ रहे हैं, हमारे देश के अंदर स्टेनलेस स्टील के प्राइस बढ़ रहे हैं, हम तेल को भूल जाते हैं, ग्रेन को भूल जाते हैं, हम वर्ल्ड वाइड इनफैक्ट टुडे somebody said very interesting thing कि आज की तारीख में जी जिंदल से ले लो, अगर सस्ता थोड़ा सा सस्ता लेना, थोड़ा लोअर क्वालिटी का लेना, चाइना से ले लो, भाव में ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं है. चाइना के भाव ऐसे कैसे बढ़ गए? 2 साल पहले तक तो 20% कम होते थे. So this commodity has an impact on global commodity level. Everywhere the prices have increased, and in case of stainless steel, it is primarily raw material which is import driven. It is dependent on that. It is a pass-through situation. Then the geopolitical situation, Ukraine, Russia conflict, metals, oils, everything has gone up. So this again has created a sort of a confusion, and when such prices become so high, people tend to wait and watch. उतना ही खरीदते हैं जितना उनको immediately चाहिए होता है. So now the point is what we need to do, but we have to increase the consumption. My views are on both the directions. Supply side, demand side. Supply side, I have 3 areas which I think are important for us. Of course, one is the sustainability. Sustainability, simply stated, taking care of today's needs while not compromising on the future. It has 3 legs. Everybody has talked about sustainability, whether it is economic, whether it is environmental, or it is social. Stainless steel is the best solution. Government is recognizing it. That's why after effort of 4 long years, the first foot-over bridge of stainless steel is already in place, and now many more will be seen. And specifically in waterways focus, which is unfortunately, which is very minuscule part in our total logistics environment. The more the focus is there, the more stainless steel goes into it. But there are roles. What we hear is that most of the industry, we are looking upon somebody else कि कोई और करेगा आके. And when we were talking in the closed door CEO roundtable with the Addition Secretary, and Madam Aruna Sharma was also there, he is my mentor in personal capacity also. We talk, industry talks as such, somebody from outside will come and support. As such, government will have a magic wand कि ऐसा करेंगे तो वो कुछ ना कुछ हो जाएगा. I think there are very distinct roles. Government has a role, for example, life cycle costing. We would like them to make it mandatory. It has been talked about it. Industry has the role, application specific awareness creation, right fabrication skills, capacities enhancement. Industry has to do that. In fact, to request the government to adopt LCC as mandatory, a lot of efforts are required. LCC की calculations कहाँ हैं? Who knows better than industry? But unfortunately, we only meet in such sessions. उसके बाद फिर अपने धंधे में busy हो जाते हैं. We have to work together. A lot of role responsibility has been given to my friend Mr. Pahuja. ISDA करेगा. ISDA क्या है? ISDA is a body represented by Mr. Pahuja, but of the industry members like us. समय निकालना पड़ेगा. So other than sustainability, the second important point is competitiveness. So I talked about the cost of the manufacturing in India. We have talked about it. Own operational efficiencies. That is very critical for us. When I say own operational efficiencies, IR 4.0, digitalization, best practices, R&D, innovativeness. And believe in me, somebody may think कि आपकी बड़ी कंपनी है तो बड़ी बातें कर रहे हो. It is irrespective of the size. I have been interacting with MSMEs also. People who have the inclination, they are able to do it. There are no solutions available. In the panel tomorrow and day after, you will find such solutions even at the MSME level, where the people can improve their efficiencies. At the government level, the budget provisions are great, but yes, level playing field, and somewhere there is always a confusion in belt and manufacturing. In the public procurement, we should together push to the government that if it is melted and manufactured in India, then that should be the criteria of the value addition. And I am thankful to the government of India. In the UAE India FTA recently announced, the melt and manufacture criteria has been accepted. It is now a part of that. So that is the competitiveness and the ecosystem. ecosystem means when I'm talking about 6 kgs, 12 kgs, I'm talking about the addition of the millions of stainless steel. Share primary producer in the corporate sector, they might be able to produce it, but it is not that we produce the coil, it has to move to the consumer through the processors, through the downstream industry, labor, the skill set. In my tomorrow session and I will be speaking specifically on the skills, what is the today health of the skill in stainless steel industry in India. It is really very, very bad. So skill development is very, very critical, and specifically the MSME. You see, in the supply ecosystem, about 35% of the primary stainless steel producers are in MSME, and all of us talk a lot about MSME. When I use the word MSME, it is a conflict with the supply chain efficiencies. Small supply chain में चाहिए आपको बड़ा, financial issues आपको चाहिए ज़्यादा, automation solutions are not there. So what do? It means we need to do a lot about the MSME. How do we together ensure that the right solutions are available to them? By the way, government is willing. Government is very much willing. This is my experience. Here the rules are that we must activate our associations. There are associations, but busy बहुत है सब लोग. We must activate. There are also APAC associations like other than product associations like ISDA, ISA, like SHM, CIA, FICCI. They are available to push the cost towards the government because there is a willingness. But we have to give the right solutions, not the motherly statements to the government. And of course, from government, hand-holding with Ministry of Skill and Entrepreneur Development, NSGC. Tomorrow in skill sector, a very, very senior officer of NSGC will be here, and they are again willing. They will be giving certain solutions to us, and somewhere ease of doing business. So from the supply side, we have to focus on 3 areas. I would just like to repeat. One was the sustainability concept has to be pushed fast, then the stainless steel becomes the right solution. Second is we have to work on competitiveness, our own internal, and of course third, as an industry, we have to build on the scale. अपने को इधर-उधर नहीं देखना चाहिए. What we can contribute, government is willing to do the hand holding. Now coming to the demand side. Traditional, we will not talk about it. A lot of things have been discussed, whether it is architecture, building construction, ART, process industry, durables, all those things are, they are happening good. And along with the GDP, I am very sure this will grow faster. Then there are certain emerging applications, emerging and also the new age applications. Those I told you, you'll have to pay to me for giving me back the mic. So emerging in new applications, FOB, ROB, these are good, and one very important opportunity which is coming is the rural sector. Today rural sector population is 70%, GDP is 1/3 the total, but per capita is half of the urban. Big opportunity. Government is focusing on infrastructure in rural sector. 25% of the national infra allotment has been given to the rural sector. So the key points here are we need to have effective partnership along with the government because we know what has to be done. The challenges of how to do it, and that's why 5W1H story में एक ऐसा अलग होता है कि how कैसे करना है हमें. So things are very, very simple. We need to have strong associations, we need to have an integrated approach to the government, and we need to give the right solutions to the government. I must here would like to thank Ministry of Steel, whether it was the board RCEP, whether NSP, whether SIMS, whether scrap policy, standards, QCO, but yes, a lot more has to be done. I am very sure that with this conference and the renewed focus on stainless steel, it will be sort of a regular affair to have the exclusive discussions on stainless steel in the ministry, and we will be able to implement all these thoughts. To me, 8 to 10% stainless steel growth is very much possible. We have to work on both supply side as well as the demand side. Thank you. Sorry for overshooting.
Thank you, Sarma sir. You know, when a legend talks, you can't make him stop. So for me, Mr. Vijay Sharma is a legend in himself. So I cannot afford to, though, you know, I am worried about Con behind me. Con must be cursing me because, you know, 30 minutes has gone and he didn't get a chance to speak. So as a guest, my apologies, Con. I hope you can hear me now. Con, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. I've had a little bit of trouble, but I can certainly hear you now.
Yeah, so my apologies for the slight delay, but the points were all well taken. And I'll just put one sentence before I hand over to you, Con, to have your perspective on the entire Asia Pacific vis-a-vis India. But I would like to quote an example of when I started my career almost 25 years back. Those days, Dr. Irani was the managing director of Tata Steel. So, Dr. Irani, in one of his speeches, he mentioned that there are a lot of things which can be done through legislation. In China, remember those days, early 90s, I'm talking about 92, 93. Those were the days when China had just taken off. So, in China, what they did was they passed a resolution, they passed a law. China, being a totalitarian state, can well afford to do that. They passed a law saying that no worker would be allowed to carry more than 50 kgs of loads on their heads. So overnight, everyone started producing wheelbarrows. That's how you bring up the consumption in a country. Now, I was just reading the statement of Mr. Nitin Gadkari. Need to make use of stainless steel mandatory in bridges close to the sea. So this is what we need to boost the consumption in our country. Legislations do help. So with that, I'll put you on to Con Logos, who is the President, Asia Pacific of Outokumpu Stainless. Over to you, Con.
Thank you very much, and certainly a pleasure to be with you all. Certainly listening to the first speaker, I agreed with many of those comments made, and certainly looking at India's consumption and increase over the last 8 years, having doubled, I'm absolutely confident that the doubling to 5 will happen a lot quicker in the next 4 to 5 years. But I think the key factors, as you said, also definitely government policy plays a very strong influence in the consumption going forward. Looking at the various megatrend areas, and this is an area that Outokumpu is certainly focusing on areas like energy, water, transportation, urbanisation, food, medical, sustainability. All these areas are going to lead to the consumption of stainless steel increasing quite sharply. We're seeing many different new market areas opening up in energy, nuclear, geothermal, solar, hydro. All these areas, as population around the world increase, so does the demand for stainless steel. Also, we talk about, as we just spoke earlier, about the life cycle costing. We are starting to see that our view on disposable products is having greater focus. So life cycle costing is certainly playing a big impact. So yes, cost competitiveness is important, but when we do look at the life cycle of stainless steel, it has a huge area to play in a lot of these mega trend areas. And in particular, substitution, which is probably one area that was not talked about previously. We see lots of opportunities for stainless steel to replace carbon steel, to replace aluminium, to replace plastics. And all these areas are leading for more and more opportunities for stainless steel demand. Even quite recently, I read that the Indian government was looking at that all bridges within about 30 kilometres of the coast needing to be made of stainless steel. So those sorts of policies and vision for the future to have bridges that last 100 years and not 40 and 50 years, all these different policies will certainly assist to the growth and further demand of stainless steel. Certainly GDP has a big impact, and as the middle class increases further, then the greater demand will be there for dishwashers and washing machines and all these products which consume a lot of stainless steel. But it certainly has been interesting, even with this pandemic. We had seen stainless steel demand increase sharply. Yes, there have been some factors resolving that with sanctions, like we said earlier, with sanctions 232 in America and also Europe imposing quite a few sanctions. But even so, the demand for stainless steel, even through the last 2 years with the pandemic, has never been higher in spite of inflationary costs and stainless steel prices doubling, if not more, in the last couple of years. But certainly, I think the manufacturing sector, as that develops and grows, when you have a look at the countries that consume more stainless per capita than anyone else, Germany, Korea, Italy, have a very, very strong manufacturing sector. Now, when we see the leading stainless steel consumers in Europe, by far Germany and Italy stand out quite strongly. And that is really on the back of their very, very strong manufacturing segment. So I see India certainly emerging in the manufacturing sector, and as that continues to grow and develop, that certainly will significantly increase its consumption for stainless steel. Globally around the world, we're also starting to see a lot of buildings which we haven't seen in the past using stainless steel for facades. And this is an application that we're starting to see in our cities. A lot more stainless steel being consumed around the world in buildings, in rubbish bins, in handrails. All these areas are moving away from carbon steel, moving to stainless steel, aesthetically more pleasing, easy to maintain, and really modernising all the big cities around the world. But ultimately, I think sustainability is a journey that globally we are all on, and as India slowly moves away from coal power and starts moving to nuclear and solar and hydro, all these areas are going to require more stainless. So from my point of view, it's inevitable that sustainability is going to be a driving factor for decision making going forward, and ultimately with that, I believe stainless steel will be a huge beneficiary of this new journey that globally we are all on. Thank you.
Thus opening up an opportunity themselves to serve the website.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Is there any question that you would like to ask, ma'am? I can just say, any question which anyone would like to ask? Mr. Sharma, would you like to ask a question, sir? No? Okay. Bhalaria ji, would you like to ask a question? Any question that you would like to pose to Fun? Yeah. Okay, so nothing in specific. With that, we'll move on to, I suppose, the Asia Pacific perspective, to a more localized perspective in terms of what the consumer ultimately thinks. Because actually, Mr. Bhalaria is the bridge between the producers and the consumers. So he is at a perfect place to give you a perfect overview of how the consumption for you and me could go up. I remember, we have been together on quite a few webinars where both these gentlemen, both the luminaries have been there with me. So when I take a personal advice, obviously I would take from someone like Mr. Bhalaria on whether I should be drinking from a stainless water bottle or a copper water bottle. He said copper is the best. So that's the honesty of Mr. Bhalaria. So with that, without further ado, I would like to put Mr. Bhalaria on to actually suggest what is the best way forward to actually bring you and me more towards being a bigger consumer and a better consumer. Over to you, Bhalaria ji.
Thank you, Mukherjee, for giving honor and more weightage than it is required. I am a normal utensil manufacturer as all others are. and grown from the micro to medium scale. Thank you, Vijay Sharma ji. We have learned many things together, and your company has been a role model for us to learn more. And it is a life responsibility. It's a work of a postman. I take post from somewhere and I deliver. I am just a postman. So in a life, learning is a post, knowledge is a post that you take some from somewhere and you deliver somewhere. It's a life. So I am your postman. And initially Mukherjee said he is the sandwich between our two. So in the middle part is only the tasty part. The outside, both the parts are bread only. So the taste comes from the organizer. So now come back to the stainless steel. Thank you. We are interested that per capita of the stainless steel go up, because it is our business. We want it to go up, and it seems like that, but it is not like that. It is a win-win situation for the society, for the government and the people. That is the role that why we are so interested in increasing the per capita of the stainless steel. A nation is known how developed it is when you measure its per capita of the stainless steel that he use. So in the manufacturing, how much mild steel he use, but it is known as a more developed nation when per capita of the stainless steel, how much it use, it's a developed country. You find the Finland, Sweden are the most, Korea, then comes the UK and the USA. But we are still far, far better. It is the same joke. Somebody said in Africa, one gentleman sent a shoemaker, how is the opportunity? One said no opportunity because nobody wears the shoes, everybody is barefoot. The other says there is a big market because everybody is barefoot. So how you look at the things, it's that India has a great, great opportunity to grow here in India because our per capita is very low. When the per capita is very low, there is a great opportunity for everybody to make money. How can you do marketing? What she said, we are good manufacturer, but we are not good marketing. Thank you, Aruna ji. आज ये सीख मैं लेके जाऊंगा. I will take this word from you. We have to be good marketing also. But the problem is we find a current factory we are not running at 25% because of the sudden price rise, the volatile. The people stop buying when there is you change high price. Then again when you before you rise, say you give me an old price. So it's the mentality of the people, of the trader. The market goes low, and it is natural. It's the economics. You are economists. So as the price and the sales is exponential curve. As the price goes up, our sales goes diminishing. So now, how to get the more sales? The per capita sales that you rightly said, 409. 409 is not good for our utensil, but 430, 439 is a better corrosive material. 441 is a better corrosive material. Alternate stainless steel is not my subject. It's a Vijay Sharma's subject. Today I will talk on the subject what we can do together. Let us focus. So I was talking. There was one Sachor mayor was here. Where is our gentleman? Is not here, but he was being chosen Naresh Bhai. So I told him, if the government want to spend on health and get the money of income tax for the health, but why we are spoiling the people health and spending on the people? We can stop spending on the people health, only change the hotelier and outside at least where we can control the government. Inside the house you cannot control. So first outside the open restaurant and the small restaurant, you tell them how bad aluminium is. 3.5 kilo aluminium cooker. When you go for a resale, it becomes 3.1 kilo or 3 kilo. Sometimes 2.9. So where is this 500, 600 gram aluminium gone? In the family stomach. And when the aluminium is gone in your stomach, you pay to the doctor 100, 500 times than what you save. Why not pay little more at the time of buying and take the health of the whole family? It's a concept that we have to market, or we have to tell government to BIS to publish this, because if we do it as a stainless steel, the aluminium people think that you are drawing your line by erasing my line. You draw your line bigger, don't erase my line. So this is the Nirmalya why we cannot market. We cannot tell aluminium is bad to others because we are a stainless steel. So it's a government help that we need to publish that aluminium cooking in aluminum is not that safe and it is hazardous to your health and health. Now he asked me which is better, copper is good. Yes, I said for the water it is good, the pH level when you maintain 7, 7.5, 6.5, but when you go for something acidic, then the problem starts. It's become copper sulfate. So when there is you have to go tin, but the tin goes away, and the tin is never usually. Sometimes we don't get pure tin nowadays. So it's a lead added into the tin for the cost. Now lead is very harmful to your brain. So if the lead is gone into the food, your brain and the things are getting other problems. So now, if the government can do focus on letting the world know that stainless steel utensil is the needed in the cooking, that's a small part of the changeover. Such 100 things together will make the shift from 2.5 to 5 in 5-10 years. It's not that easy. You said natural growth. Natural growth is possible, but the exponential growth that we are needed, more than 7% what you said. So that requires so many different steps. So what are those steps are? First, aluminum replace, copper is replaced, and wherever there is a food, then everything has to be done. Now, previously the plastic bags and plastic lunchbox was children were taking. Now the wife has taken the thing, my children will not get plastic box. At least the down portion is the stainless steel where the food is stored. Only the cover are plastic or the also stainless steel for the school boys. All the school things what was giving melamine and other things, the government is using stainless steel. Not only stainless steel and 4 stainless steel for all the tender. So all the government tender is 155522 grade. So that you have to use 14.5 as a minimum chrome. When government is using himself 14.5 chrome, why he allows others to use it? And we are taking, sorry Sharma ji, don't feel bad. You said we are near to the world market, thoda farak hai. Sir, ye thoda farak mein bahut farak hai. Your price, you are telling, because the freight price has increased, the prices get narrow. Other thing, 13%.
Today evening, stand witness to an entirely new concept in SS industry, the curtain raiser ceremony of MakeStainless.com, an initiative by Jindal Stainless, a knowledge sharing platform where stainless steel manufacturers, fabricators, supplier and service providers can register, exhibit and showcase their stainless steel prowess, thus opening up an opportunity themselves to serve the website visitor. No more today evening 5:45 p.m. Please visit Jindal Stainless booth. Thank you.
So 13% VAT, the government is not giving refund if you export the raw material. So 13% GST and the freight has made you dear, sir. So now it is opportunity for you to bring down the cost. And when you reduce the cost, automatically the sale will go up. So try to do, I am not forcing you, sir. Don't smile. But you can do it. The cost is always outside, I understand. The cost is not inside. The freight, other things are matter. But you can do something to make it more better. So let's go on a second topic. Mild steel products, railway, bridges, wagon, all many things have already started in stainless steel. But it has started in such a 2%, 3% that we said that. But 98% things have to done. Metro has done stainless steel, but not all the railway. In the railway, there are so many components, handle, rack, so many things that come in stainless steel. Bathroom converted into stainless steel, but not the whole railway. So, and stainless steel has a double the strength. So when you reduce the thickness of the bogie, the strength of the stainless steel is there at half the weight. But when you reduce the weight, the efficiency of the railway got increased, the power getting reduced. So what is the previous car, Ambassador, Fiat, and today Maruti is a problem? They will take out the weight from the product, and that's why the efficiency is going higher. So same thing in the railway, need to get a trial before doing my suggestion. So the thickness of the bogie, usage of them, and the life of the bogie will be more than 4 times than MS. That's what I think. So this is the fundamental of replacing MS to here grill, gate, shutter, what you know, corrosion is the highest level that Sharmaji's favorite topic. corrosion. So the corrosion replacement after 30 years will be too expensive. What you are doing now, at least whenever you are doing now, think of stainless steel, and your life of 100 years replacement will come. So it will be much cheaper at 30-40 years when you go to replace. The labor will be different, price will be different, and you won't find the labor. So tomorrow there is a seminar at the steel something. So these steel people, nobody want to do dirty job even today. We want to hire 200 people, but people don't want to work in the dirty. Everybody wants to work on a computer. So this is going to become an automation, and even the complete automation. Semi-automatic is also out of date now. Semi-automatic things we have done, it is out of date. People need complete start to end that automation. So now that machine can be into mild steel 2 ms. The machinery also need a non-replacement. So the repair and maintenance of the machine is also not required. You make a machine sturdy, hardness, corrosion resistive, other things. In a stainless steel, I think 14.5 chrome makes the best stainless steel for the people to affordable middle life. We cannot go too much high price and not go too much quality. But this 14.5 chrome requires copper and it also requires manganese. We have the manganese. Copper is 1%. Because we have the manganese and the chrome both the side our side, so we can do on a 14.5 chrome. On the road you see food cart, kitchen, modular kitchen in the house, everything can be done this, converted. We have to start some model, it's a snowball effect. When you start few pieces in the outside, give the market free. Somebody was a nice person in our utensil market. He said, whatever I produce 500 pieces first and gift it to my neighboring friend circle. So then mouth to mouth, you say, औरतों में बात फैलती है, ये माल ये प्रोडक्ट अच्छा है. So gradually the product mouth to mouth publicity, the snowball effect comes and the sale goes higher. So this is also can be done. We can produce some few cards and give it in every city. So for a role model for somebody, that cost is nothing. And what you said, marketing, I think how can this marketing can be done? Association marketing, अंडा खाओ, शहदरो अच्छा कुछ ऐसा था अंडे का, तो अंडा फंडा कुछ था पता नहीं, मैं तो नहीं जान. लेकिन सर एज अ मेन प्रोड्यूसर इज़दा सारे मेंबरों से आप सेल के 10 पैसा लो पर केजी, वो पैसा हम एसोसिएशन की स्टेनलेस स्टील यूजेज के लिए बढ़ाएंगे. एडवर्टाइजिंग how stainless steel better, and 10 paisa what you are charging is going to recover by us. You charge me 10 paisa on every kilo, then everybody has to pay. Then ISDA will collect and you pay to ISDA, ISDA will spend it. So this is how the whole cycle will vicious circle to promote better things. So that is the surcharge on stainless steel. Now 304 and 316, I already said 439 and 441 are nearby to that, and there is another material has come, tin. If you add a tin, 0.5% and 1% into 430, so that becomes very near to 304 corrosion, but that gives a rough surface. When you add 0.5% and 1%, that experiment has been done by Nippon Stainless Steel Japan. Our manufacturer can try 0.5% and 1% tin with the 430. It's worth experimenting. Now, in the bathroom, we have done many products. Soap dish, hanger, towel hanger, wash basin. But so many ceramic soap dispenser we have, so many things we have. But for a life, 304, if you don't use 304 in bathroom accessories, the product is get deteriorated and we lose the trust. So now in 2019 to 2000, what happened? The material was 304 to 200, zinc was evolving. And under the trial error, whatever product was given to the Indian manufacturer, Indian consumer. And the consumer and the trader had a lot of problem of splitting and other things. So now they lost the faith. So the 2000 to 2010 was a very bad period for us, sir, because we have lost the trust in stainless steel. And then Jindal Inox has started high design product. Magpie was another pioneer in making the design. We contributed little bit on a world design to bring to India. So more designer product is required in a tableware as a prestigious people when they buy. If you sell if the Maruti car label is there and they make a Mercedes quality, but they don't get price. So you have to be a brand awareness on something. So design on the product is very important. So for the high end people should buy the product. So for the tableware and other products. Now you can make a home and a restaurant door by fire resistant. When you replace the wood, we can make everything fire resistant. You replace the wood. My steel I talked about aluminum. The third is the plastic. There's already some replacement. Now fourth is the wood article. When we remove the wood, we are fire resistance and we are in a very safe environment. And even your insurance bill will come down when you use the metal. When you, instead of wood, if you use the metal, your fire bill insurance will come down. Now, as the composite aluminum is there for welding, if there is a chance that we can make a composite stainless steel to weld. So composite panel, when the cost will go, both the side aluminum stainless steel and inside there is a welding, easy welding. So the composite stainless steel, then the whole panel and everything can come and usage can be increased. And there is very popular nowadays 3-ply stainless steel circles are coming from abroad. I don't think it's a very big experiment for you. Sir, as a big manufacturer, you are maybe thinking on that small line to avoid the import. If we can, India can make that 3-ply inside, why should we import it? Now, airplane has a lot of product. Because in airplane the weight is very restricted. So many products can be replaced when the thinner gauge of the stainless steel is possible. So plane weight can be reduced to the same way like a car, and the storage article can be made from stainless steel. Chemical and the pharma industry are going to boom in near future. As the basic pharma ingredient we are going to start it, APA. Then lot of stainless steel is going to use in that area. Currently we were 74% in 1990 to now we are in the utensil sector hollowware. We have reduced to 55-58 and we wanted to be 40%, but the other areas must grow. So we are growing, but still our numbers are decreasing because of the architect, building and construction work. And on the sea side, as Gadkari said, on the sea side 409L wire bar, steel bar like a Tor steel should be made long product. So the bar do not get corrosion. All the outside the sea area, total coastal, we got a big coastal area, and all AC grill, that where we put our AC and the steel angle get corroded, and maybe there is chance of fall of something accident has happened. So if the angles are made of the stainless steel on the where you put the AC, the white goods, as Tom said, on the white goods, our wash, utensil cleaning, dishwasher. So many white goods, body can be done, so the life is more. Sometimes white good works, but the body gets corroded and you have to throw away. So now if the body is made from even the thinner gauge, it can resist. Even only the inside washing machine, the parts are very stainless steel, but the outside body is mild steel. So automobile has a great opportunity for stainless steel. Only the few particles, exhaust pipe and are 409, but rest you can make many items in automobile change. So life is like that, so many changes are possible. We can talk about hours and hours, but time is limited. Thank you for time. Thank you, Mukherjee.
Thank you, Bhalaria. When Mr. Sharma started, we were captivated. And when Mr. Bhalaria just finished, I'm sure you must have been mesmerized by his thoughts. Because that's what happens to me when I get both of them on my panels, and it has happened more than once. Couple of times, and both of them have really taken everyone. I mean, this is what you can term as taking the audience with you. So they both of them take the audience with them. I'll just make a few general remarks. When Mr. Bhalaria talks about reducing the prices, I know Mr. Sharma gets a little rattled. Because those of you who know the scenario, what happened on the 31st of March, at the end of March, London Metal Exchange had to stop nickel trading because nickel prices had crossed $100,000. Later it came down to 80,000, but it had crossed $1 lakh on the LME. So LME's trading for the day had to be stopped because of the prices of nickel shooting through the roof. Now, the tariff barriers. The European Union has imposed a tariff on JSL to a tune of 4.3%, which would take the total tariff on their part to 14.3%. Indonesia, which is a big challenge for India today, Chinese, whenever they do something, the Chinese do it in a roundabout way. So they entered to Indonesia, gave all the subsidies to Indonesia, and Indonesia started reaping the benefit, including dumping to countries like India. Now, obviously, European Union had to take an action on them. So in their case, ILMC, the new tariff stands at 21.4% overall, including the anti-dumping duties, amounting to 30.7%. Now, obviously what happens is, when you have trade barriers being imposed, you don't understand, India has always been a level playing field. There is no roundabout way you can actually get subsidies from the government. It's a democratic country. It's not a totalitarian state. So these are challenges which remain before the stainless steel industry, and I'm sure the super cycle, which has brought up prices for everything at a much higher level. If I look at carbon steel, the prices of iron ore have gone up, coking coal has shot through the roof. So obviously, this super cycle, as long as it continues, you cannot expect prices to come down overnight. And it's not just India which is a price-sensitive market. You look at the global market, everywhere price plays a role. So it is not always price stands for quality. In fact, the other thing which I would like to conclude is stainless steel industry can move ahead by virtue of its several qualities: aesthetically appealing. Years ago, I used to do a couple of workshops on stainless steel welding. So this is one skill which I think tomorrow you have the skill development thing. One thing one should bring up is developing the welders and fabricators, which I remember Ratanji had taken a personal interest, and in early 90s I remember there used to be at Jindal Center, there used to be a design center. Is it still there? So that design center, the job was to actually identify the fabricators, and various decorative items like lampshades, they were developed by the fabricators with Jindal Stainless. So these are efforts which must be done, and I see Bhalaria's business card holder is not stainless steel, whereas I think JSL makes those items, which is made of, I'm sorry, only the covering is, so never judge a book by its cover. Okay, so with that let us conclude, and thank you Mr. Sharma, special word of thanks. Thank you Bhalaria ji, and thank you Paul once again, I hope you are still there, and it's been wonderful. This afternoon has been wonderful, and we look forward to the sessions tomorrow, which I'm sure you're going to take part. Con would like to make concluding remarks. Con, if you just conclude and put in your remarks. Over to you, Con.
Sorry, apologies, I missed that behind some of the noise.
No, Con, I just said that we would request you to make the concluding remarks on our way forward to reach the consumption level, per capita consumption of 6 kgs. And what do you think India should do immediately to ensure that we have a boost in our consumption?
What they should do immediately? Look, I think immediately the government has to protect its local stainless steel industry, and certainly protect it from, as we just said, what's happening with Indonesia and Xinjiang, and certainly the tariffs that have been put on Jindal and other stainless steel producers in India. I think the government certainly needs to lobby and support its local industry and help stimulate manufacturing locally in India. I think that it really is what is going to boost the demand quicker than anything else. And then from that short-term strategy, also have its long-term sustainability policies in place to start spending in areas, as we just said earlier, of energy, water, transportation. All these areas are demanding sustainability, they're demanding a lot of stainless steel, and certainly if the government focuses on those areas and focuses on manufacturing, I think that will have the most impact immediately. The other thing I think that's also important, and the role that we play as an industry, is education and educating the consumer of the benefits of stainless steel, the sustainability of stainless steel, and you know, where they can make decisions of whether they want to use something that has a high CO2 footprint or use a product like stainless steel, which over the life cycle you know, can immediately be recycled and reused over and over again. So I think education is the other key factor that we need to do as an industry, to educate and promote more use of stainless steel in more market segments.
Thank you, Paul. You rightly said, very rightly put it. In fact, I remember I was interviewing Mr. Sajan Jindal once, and my question was, why is it that we have not been able to boost our consumption instead, in spite of putting in all our body, Ministry of Steel along with the producers set up a body called INSTAG, Institute for Steel Development and Growth. So why is that we have not been able to move in a single project ahead? So he said the problem is, or the challenge is, we Indians do not know how to use steel. We do not know how to use steel. So, and as I keep saying one more caveat, that I do not see stainless steel as a competitive material for carbon steel. I see it as complementing each other. I see the stainless steel and carbon steel should complement each other in every area of application. Thank you so much, and with that, Shama, some special thanks to you. Again, तहे दिल से जिसको उनका शुक्रिया, तहे दिल से शुक्रिया, बलराम जी मिलते रहेंगे, बात करते रहेंगे, that's the way we will move forward. Thank you so much.